Am I the asshole for saying I will call social services if my SIL keeps leaving her child at my place? I have a half-brother, Enzo. We're not very close since we were both raised with our respective mothers, but he has always gone out of his way to help me with anything I've needed. Enzo married his wife Steph 2 years ago. Steph has a daughter, Alice, with her ex but has sole custody, and Enzo and Steph have a 7-month son, Teddy. I also have a 3-year-old daughter. Enzo and Steph moved to the city I live in when Steph got pregnant, and since then, Steph developed a habit of showing up at my apartment building unannounced. It became a problem and I talked to both her and Enzo about it and she stopped, until she gave birth. Now, she regularly drops by unannounced to leave Alice at my building for babysitting while she has to run errands or something. She's had her carpool drop Alice off at my apartment before. My poor housekeeper is a wonderful woman who has had to deal with Alice arriving unexpectedly while I'm out, and I feel terrible about it. I've told the concierge not to let her up and to say no one is in, but then I'll arrive to Alice waiting in the lobby, which is not safe, and the concierge has told me I can't make them responsible for a child. Steph keeps saying she only does it when she's desperate, but I don't see how she can be that desperate to run errands at least twice a week, and frankly I'm not a nanny. If she's desperate, she needs to hire some help. I've spoken to Enzo and he is always extremely apologetic and says he will talk to her, and I believe he does, but he also works during the day and can't police where she is at all hours. I reached my breaking point a couple of days ago when I returned from lunch to find Alice at home, having been dropped off since she had a half day at school. I apologized profusely to my housekeeper who had spent time playing babysitter and called Steph, no answer. I called her several times, and then Enzo, who was on a business trip and distraught over the situation. Steph eventually turned up a couple of hours later and I went ballistic. I said if she ever leaves Alice at my building again I will call social services, and I will call them every single time she drops Alice off with me until they do something, because this is not my job and she is an irresponsible and neglectful parent. She burst into tears and begged me to help out with Alice, but I said no and reminded her I'd never said yes in the first place. She just kept dumping her kid here. Steph kept trying to guilt-trip me, but I was too exhausted and upset about the situation to be receptive, and eventually my husband had to tell her to leave. I feel bad because, as I said, Enzo has never been anything but the most accommodating person where I'm concerned, and maybe treating his wife like that was harsh. But at the same time I chose to have one kid because I don't want another one. Steph can't use my house as a daycare. Was I too harsh? Not the asshole. She's being careless and her daughter is going to end up getting hurt by her mother's actions. What happens when you're housekeeper and you aren't home and she ends up getting hurt or worse? Not the asshole. She may also flat out need to be told that you did not hire your housekeeper to watch her child. How unfair for her to be infringed on like that. Have you told her directly she is free to tell SIL that she is not babysitting? It's not what she's hired to do. And I'm surprised the concierge didn't call the police for an abandoned child. Not the asshole. Do it. Steph is not entitled to your free services as a daycare. I also think it is kind of Sue's. Where is the other child during this? And why does she feel the need to get rid of Alice so often? Not the asshole. This woman is completely irresponsible. She did not hesitate to leave her child in the hall. It's horrible. Besides, based on your description, am I wrong to think that she is not working? If she doesn't change her way of doing things, ask for payment, you are not even less your housekeeper, her free worker. Not the asshole. Call CPS every single time. Someone could take that child while she is abandoned in a building lobby for hours each time. Talking to your brother and her gets you nowhere. Do what you need to do. They were warned of the consequences you are prepared to give to their negligent actions. SIL should renegotiate her custody of Alice so that the bio dad has full custody. She clearly doesn't want to have her daughter with her, and she is causing irreparable harm to that child. She should also get checked to see if she isn't suffering from postpartum. Not the asshole. Look, she is being completely irresponsible. You do not, under any circumstances, Drop off or have a child dropped off at a place without clearing it first with the person you are dropping off the child to. And even after clearing it with the person, you personally escort them to the place until they're inside the apartment house, etc. I have heard of more than one situation like this that ended tragically. Until she suffers real consequences for her behavior, she won't stop. She needs to stop doing this. The concierge has told me I can't make them responsible for a child. The concierge can call the police for an unattended child, too. You need to have a sit-down with Enzo and his wife, and talk to each other about the why, how, and what is okay and what isn't. Has a direct conversation like this with all of you happened yet? Not the asshole if SIL keeps leaving her child without making sure she is supervised and the supervising party is consenting to actually take care of the child. Not the asshole maybe I have been on Reddit too long and please if I'm wrong I apologize. Is Teddy really your half-brother's son? Is she going off to be with another man so he can see his son? For a kid will blab that is maybe why she is not taking her daughter. To be honest I would be even more positive it was an affair if she wasn't taking her son. Not the asshole. She is 1. Being inconsiderate of you by not respecting your boundaries 2. Being irresponsible by not checking with you if you are available 3. Actually neglecting her child, knowingly leaving her in your house when you are not there. 4. Showing favoritism towards the new baby she is always with him while she keeps throwing her older daughter at you. Maybe CPS getting involved is the wake-up call Steph needs to become a better mother to her children. And I suspect that while Steph may be a bit self-centered, having a baby has made her more so. She probably feels overwhelmed by motherhood and in her desperation she selfishly dumps her older child onto you, as I'm sure the baby might still be breastfeeding. Regardless, she has no right to dump her child on you, especially unannounced or unasked. Poor Alice, her mother can't handle having a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old. You did the right thing. Not the asshole. However, do let Enzo know that is the next step. Don't call CPS without him trying to step in one last time. Not the asshole. Sounds like she needed a stern talking to in order to get it through her head that you're not her kid's babysitter. Maybe things would have gone differently if she asked you upfront about watching her kid and you could have made a set schedule for those times if you agreed. But the way she has handled it is awful. Not the asshole she thinks your housekeeper is a free nanny. Not the asshole you should have called a long time ago. Tell her and your brother to get their own effing babysitter. And tell the concierge to call the cops if she shows up. Then you can let them call CPS. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but something is really wrong here between these two children and their treatment by their mother. Your brother needs to get a handle on his household. Children are in danger and something is going on. Not the asshole, your SIL is making her poor planning your problem. I think the threat of calling social services should make her understand you're serious. Your brother must put a stop to this. What a mess. I also hope it never comes to calling. Once they're involved, things can easily snowball. Not the asshole. And she is not even leaving her with you sometime. She is leaving her with your housekeeper and with the building concierge, unattended in the lobby. Could we have an actual unanimous not the asshole here? Not the asshole. What on earth is she doing multiple times a week that she can't take that one particular child? Something smells here. Not the asshole. She will continue to take advantage of you for as long as you allow her to. Not the asshole, and let the building manager know they can call the cops to have her trespassed if she shows her face again. They will pull in CPS for the child abandonment. Not the asshole. Dropping off a child without even checking if someone is present to watch that child is absolutely neglect. Child services should be called into the equation also. The kid is 4 years old. Basic errands can absolutely be done with a 4-year-old.